Hello and welcome back. Welcome if this is your first time. Thank you for stopping by. Today I'll be building a wooden block sign, wooden block word sign that is also lighted up using just one single cedar fence picket. So let's jump right into the video now. Just as most of the projects I've shared the videos of how I build them on this channel, this one is no different. You can always alter the dimensions to fit your needs or to fit your space. For this one, I'm using a 2.5-inch height, and the depth of it ended up becoming 2 3/4. But you can make it as deep, and like I said, you can make the dimensions to suit your desire. So I first cut down the 1 6-foot fence picket down into smaller manageable sizes so I can pass them through the planer which I had on my workbench, and now I'm just planing it down to 1/2 inch. That's the thickness that I wanted to work with, but you could leave it as the 5/8 inch or 19/32 to be exact thickness that it was, but I prefer 1/2 inch. It's a lot easier to work with, especially because I will be adding lights onto it. But you can do whatever works for you. I'm sure you can use a 3/4 inch material and it will still turn out great. So I wanted to make mention of something that you may or may not have noticed about this channel. It's all about sharing videos on small projects that you can embark on, either as a new woodworker or a hobbyist, whatever you might want to call yourself. But at the same time, you may have noticed that I am putting little reminders here and there about love, because I am a very firm believer on the reality of God's love, and so you will notice that I'll be sharing little nuggets and little reminders about that love on this channel from time to time. As I mentioned, for the dimensions, I used a 2.5 inch height by a 2 3/4 inch depth, because the width of the board that I cut for the depth was cut at 2 3/4, as you just saw there, and then adding the 1/2 inch thickness of the board, which was attached to the front, ended up becoming 2 3/4. I hope that makes sense. So after cutting the various pieces, I think I forgot to record when I was making the slots on what you go on the top and bottom of it, because I wanted to make the back accessible, because I know I was going to add lights to it. You could have the back all sealed up, just making sure that you install the lights in there before you fix the back pieces. But I wanted this to be one where the back is removable, in case anything goes with any of the LEDs in there, you could always slide the back open rather than having to take it apart. I'm making these so they can be used for a really long time. So this is a project that I know I will be doing another one of. I might do it differently, where I'm not necessarily leaving all 3 of the blocks open, or adding the ability to leave all 3 of them open. I may just have the bottom one open where the switch is attached, but I'll definitely be doing a different one with different sizes of the blocks. I would say it's a fun build. It does take a lot of time because of the number of pieces involved, but I believe it was worth it at the end. I will also show you towards the end of the video where I got the inspiration from, and also share, an idea of, if just in case you were thinking about making this as a product to sell, you can have an idea of what the going price is for 2 different versions of it. So whichever one you end up making, you can have an idea of how to price it. And as usual, you just make sure you price it so it will sell. If you end up making these for yourself or making them to sell, you can decide to go with different colors. You can paint them red and green and white, all three of them. One of them white, one red, one green, if you like those colors or if that's what you're going for. But you can also do it the same way I did it here, where I use a chalk white paint, and then what I ended up doing was sanding off some of the paint. Especially you want to make sure that it has some paint in the front of it, and I will explain why later on in the video. But the parts that will be attached together, you want to make sure there isn't that much paint left on the surface, to make sure that the adhesive that you use, whether it's wood glue or super glue, will have something to attach to it so it won't come off. But definitely feel free to go ahead with painting one red, one green, and one white. And then you can also paint the words that you would like to be on there. I used a belt sander to take off some of the material, but prior to doing that I was just rounding off the edges to make it a little bit smoother, and then I took off some of the paint material off to give it I was going for a farmhouse look, so I took off some of the paint, and given the fact that it's chalkboard paint, it makes it look really nice. It gives it a nice finish. You know, like I said a few minutes or so ago, a few seconds ago, you can also just go ahead and paint the words that you want in front. I have a vinyl cutter, I have a Cricut, and I just used some leftover material that I have. I used a permanent vinyl because I wanted to stay on there. So I used a permanent vinyl. I just picked the three colors that were readily available. You can definitely go with whatever colors you prefer. In hindsight, I think I could have used a lighter shade of green than the darker one. This one is more commonly used for Christmas decorations, but for some reason it appeared as if it was a shade of black, but it did turn out all right. You can see that it is green when we look closely at it. This is one of the reasons why you might want to go with just painting it, because weeding vinyl does take time and it requires some patience, extra patience. So painting it might be an option. These ones were not too bad. There wasn't that much to weed off the vinyl. There wasn't too much of the vinyl to weed off because I try to use very basic fonts, not the complicated ones that have a ton of small pieces to take off. Another option you might consider is to just engrave these if you have a laser engraver. you can also just engrave the words that you want on the front of the wooden blocks. Another option I just thought about was the option to write the words using a Sharpie. I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but I think it should work. And I want to think that you can seal coat it with Mod Podge if you do have some handy. But give it a try and let me know if that works out. You can try it on a smaller piece. I won't suggest doing it, trying it on when you have the blocks built. You could take a smaller scrap piece of the wood from your leftovers and give it a try and see what it looks like. So you have 4 options. You can either paint the words, you can engrave the words, or use a permanent vinyl like I used here, or try the Sharpie and let me know which one you think is the best for you. This will be a good time to subscribe to this channel if you've not already done so. Thank you. Now it's time to put the vinyl on the wooden blocks. I'm trying to align them so that I don't cover the holes that I had drilled to expose some of the LEDs on the blocks. It was pretty easy putting them on. Having a little bit of paint left on the wood makes it easier for the vinyl to remain attached in place on the wood. to start passing the LED through the boxes. I drilled holes to pass it through from one to the other, and once they're stacked, those won't be visible. One thing I will do differently next time is to drill the holes where the LEDs will be exposed based on where the LEDs are on the strip, rather than pre-drilling the holes and hoping the LEDs will be able to stretch through those various spots. And what I realized was I may have more holes than LEDs for this particular build, which is one of the reasons I'll be doing another one. So for this one, I just temporarily secured the cord using a tape or pieces of tape. I think using masking tape would probably be a good idea as well. A good construction grade masking tape will be another option. So it's finally done, and I like how the final product looked. It actually turned out nicer than I anticipated, and I like it. I hope you can build one and share it with us here, and let's see what you made. So I'm just going to take this time to share with you where I got my inspiration from. So Wayfair has this for sale for $25.99, and I think it's on sale, but you get the idea. There's that one, and there's another one that has an additional box at the top that you can add to it and then add the ribbing onto it. This one is selling for $56.99. So just to give you an idea of what you can ask for it, I would ask $50 for it. It's worth it. You will make a ton of profit from it, assuming you're able to market it well enough for it to sell. Well, I hope this inspires you to build something. Maybe you can build one even better than this one. But until the next video, I pray you get an experience of God's love in a tangible way. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.